Welcome back to our channel, Soap fans. Today is a phenomenal day to dive into the latest, most explosive twists rocking Porch. We have the hottest scoops and jaw-dropping spoilers ready. Grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let us unpack the absolute madness about to unfold. You will not want to miss a single second of this break. The shadows of the Quartermain mansion are about to birth an absolute monster. A seismic shift in momentum is accelerating toward Michael Corinthos, bringing an impossible choice that will shatter his reality. The woman he trusted, the woman he let into his bed and around his vulnerable children, is a phantom. The mask is coming off, and the nightmare underneath is a face Port Charles prayed was buried. The midnight silence of the sprawling Quartermain estate is usually a sanctuary, a quiet reprieve from the relentless corporate warfare and vicious custody battles consuming the. But tonight, the suffocating quiet is merely the calm before an apocalypse. Little wily Corinthos, unable to sleep, wanders the darkened hall. The innocent child pads softly across the plush carpets, his small hands trailing along the expensive wall. He notices a sliver of harsh, artificial light spilling from beneath the door of a secluded guest. Driven by pure, childlike curiosity, Wiley pushes the heavy wooden door open, completely unaware that he is stepping directly into the epicenter of a psychological horror. Inside the dimly lit room, a figure stands before an ornate vanity. The woman has her back turned to the door, her hands gripping the edges of her own jaw. Wiley watches in silent fascination as the woman begins to pull at her skin. The synthetic, hyper-realistic silicone mask tears away from the heavy adhesive with a sickening, wet. The brunette locks of Jacinda Bracken fall away, revealing a cascade of unmistakable blonde. The delicate, carefully constructed features of the woman Michael Corinthos recently loved and exiled are discarded onto the vanity table like a piece of worthless trash. Beneath the disguise lies the wicked, triumphant, and terrifyingly familiar face of Nelle Benson. Wiley does not. He does not run. In a moment of chilling, heart-stopping innocence, the young boy recognizes the biological mother who brought so much devastation. A soft, confused smile crosses his face as he speaks into the quiet room. "Mommy Nelle," he calls out. The two words slice through the heavy atmosphere like a sharpened blade. Nelle freezes, her cold eyes snapping to the reflection of her son in the mirror. A malevolent, twisted smirk stretches across her face. She turns slowly, ready to embrace the child she has spent years plotting. But she is not the only one who heard the boy's voice. Down the hallway, Michael Corinthos is pacing restlessly. The crushing weight of his escalating custody war with Willow Kane, the intense corporate battle at Deception, and the recent, chaotic departure of Jacinda Bracken have left him completely drained. He broke things off with Jacinda, giving her a massive bank account and sending her out of town after she went rogue and drugged Willow's coffee. He thought the Jacinda chapter was permanently closed. But as he paces, the faint, unmistakable sound of Wiley's voice echoes from the guest. "Mommy Nelle." The words hit Michael like a physical blow to the chest. Confusion instantly morphs into paralyzing dread. Michael breaks into a sprint, his heart hammering violently against his ribs. He rounds the corner and bursts through the partially open door of the guest. The scene before him defies all logic, all reason, and all. The cinematic freeze frame of the moment will haunt him for the rest of his life. There stands the woman he knew, as Jacinda Bracken, hastily attempting to pull the synthetic mask back over her blonde hair. But she is entirely too late. The disguise hangs loosely from her fingertips, exposing the hauntingly beautiful, psychotic face of Nelle Benson. The ghost has returned, and she is standing in his home, looking directly at his son. The air is violently expelled from Michael. A wave of visceral, paralyzing nausea crashes over him with the force of a tidal wave. The realization hits him with catastrophic. Jacinda Bracken never truly existed. The woman who provided his alibi, the woman who infiltrated his life, the woman he took into his bed, kissed, and trusted around his vulnerable children was Nelle Benson all along. The psychological violation is absolute and devastating. Michael stumbles backward, his mind desperately trying to reject the horrifying truth standing right in front of him. He is utterly disgusted with himself, sickened to his core that he fell in love with the very monster who dedicated her life to ruining him. Nelle does not cower. She does not attempt to flee. Instead, she drops the silicone mask onto the floor and steps over it, her posture shifting from the demure, heartbroken Jacinda to the arrogant, untouchable Nelle. Her voice, stripped of the fake accent and soft cadence she used for over a year, rings out with chilling clarity. She laughs, a dark, victorious sound that makes Michael's blood run. She taunts him, reveling in the absolute perfection of her labyrinth. She explains how easy it was to manipulate him, to play the sweet, supportive girlfriend while systematically dismantling his life from the inside out. She orchestrated the drugging of Willow. She fueled the custody war. She pulled every single string. Michael lunges forward, his protective instincts overriding his shock. He scoops Wiley into his arms, shielding the boy's face from the woman who gave birth. He orders Nelle to get out, screaming that he will call the Port Charles Police Department, the WSB, anyone else necessary to have her locked in a maximum security cell for the rest of her miserable life. He vows that she will never see the light of day again. But Nelle merely crosses her arms, her wicked smirk widening into a full-blown grin. She isn't here to run. She didn't execute the most elaborate, impossible disguise in Port Charles history just to get caught and thrown behind bars. She is here to conquer. Nelle makes her grand, terrifying declaration. She announces that she has returned to claim her rightful spot as the absolute matriarch of the Corinthos Empire. She wants the power, the immense wealth, the sprawling properties, and total, unyielding control over Michael. She demands to be reinstated in the family, not as a secret, but as the reigning. Michael scoffs at her demands, calling her completely delusional, and he reaches for his phone, his fingers trembling with absolute rage, ready to dial Dante Falconeri and have the authorities swarm. But before his thumb can hit the screen, Nelle springs her ultimate, devastating trap. Go ahead, Mike. Make the call. Nelle challenges, her voice dripping with venomous confidence. She takes a slow, deliberate step toward him, her eyes locking onto his with terrifying. She reveals that during her time masquerading as Jacinda, she didn't just share his bed. She absorbed every single dirty, illegal, and catastrophic secret he harbored. She knows absolutely everything, and she has the ultimate leverage to ensure Michael does exactly what she said. Nelle drops the ultimate bombshell, threatening to expose the darkest, most explosive cover-up currently buried in Port. Nelle details her extortion with surgical precision. She knows the absolute truth about Willow Kane shooting Drew. She knows that Michael has been ruthlessly using Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor's testimony about hearing Wiley's ringtone to bluff Willow into surrendering custody. But more importantly, Nelle knows that Michael actively covered for her actions when she, disguised as Jacinda, drugged Willow's coffin. Michael hid the evidence and facilitated her escape to protect the mother of his children from public ruin and to shield his own reputation. Nelle threatens to expose the entire twisted web of lies. She threatens to reveal that Michael covered for her to keep the secret of Willow's shooting completely safe. The impossible choice crashes down on Michael with suffocating. If he defies Nelle and calls the police, the fallout will be apocalyptic. Nelle will sing like a canary. She will hand over the proof that Willow shot Drew, sending the mother of his children straight. She will expose Michael's active role in covering up Jacinda's drugging incident, destroying his pristine corporate image at deception and potentially landing him in a prison cell right next to his ex-wife. The entire Quartermain and Corinthos families will be dragged through the mud in a massive, highly publicized scandal. Wiley and Amelia will be left completely orphaned, stripped of both their parents in one fell swoop. But the alternative is equally horrifying. If Michael submits to Nelle's demands, he hands his life, his fortune, and the safety of his children over to a certified psychopath. He will be forced to welcome Nelle Benson back into his home, to pretend to the world that he accepts her, and to live every single day under the constant, terrifying threat of her blackmail. He will become a prisoner in his own mansion, a puppet dancing on Nelle's string. The tension in the dark guest room is absolute and paralyzing. Michael stares at the woman who has successfully orchestrated his ultimate downfall, his mind racing desperately for a way out of a trap that has no exit. Nelle watches the realization wash over Michael's face, her victory absolute. She steps closer, reaching out to gently trace the jawline of her terrified son, who is still clutched tightly in Michael. She whispers a chilling promise that she is never leaving again. The seismic shift in momentum has completely upended the power dynamics of Port Charles. Michael Corinthos, the man who thought he was ruthlessly controlling his custody battle and his corporate empire, has been utterly defeated by the ghost. The stakes have never been higher, the danger has never been more immediate, and the fallout from this midnight confrontation will alter the course of history for everyone involved. The sheer audacity of Nelle's plan leaves Michael entirely. He remembers the nights he confided his deepest fears to Jacinda, the moments he sought comfort in her arms after grueling fights with Willow. Every single memory is now tainted with the sickening reality of Nelle's deception. He realizes that Nelle intentionally drugged Willow's coffee to make her appear unhinged, meticulously paving the way for Michael to win full custody so Nelle could swoop in and claim the children for herself. She played the long game with terrifying patience and flawless execution. Michael is trapped in a psychological nightmare, completely outmaneuvered by the ultimate soap opera villain. Michael's grip on Wiley tightens, his knuckles turning completely white. He takes a slow, agonizing step backward, putting physical distance between his son and the monster wearing his ex-girlfriend's clothes. His mind frantically searches for a loophole, a hidden weakness in Nelle's ironclad black. But Nelle has anticipated every single counterattack. She reminds him that she has documented proof of the payoff money he transferred to Jacinda's account, linking him directly to the cover-up of the drug. She has recorded conversations, hidden files, and a dead man's switch, ready to trigger the release of all the evidence regarding Willow's shooting of Drew Kane if anything happened. Nelle has built an impenetrable fortress around her newly reclaimed throne. The absolute devastation in Michael's eyes is the exact reward Nelle has been waiting for. She dismisses him with a flick of her wrist, casually instructing him to put Wiley back to bed and to prepare the master suite for her immediate occupation. The sheer arrogance of her command makes Michael's blood boil, but the paralyzing fear for his children and for Willow's freedom chains him to the spot. He is a hostage in his own empire. The realization that he must now actively protect Nelle Benson to protect Willow Kane is a twisted, agonizing irony that threatens to completely break his sanity. The battle lines have been redrawn, and Michael is standing on the losing side of a war he didn't even know he was fighting. As Michael slowly retreats from the room, carrying his innocent son away from the epicenter of the nightmare, Nelle turns back to the vanity. She stares at her own reflection, the blonde hair catching the dim light, a victorious, chilling smile plastered across. The Jacinda Bracken mask lies discarded on the floor, a terrifying testament to her absolute dedication to revenge. The storm has officially made landfall in Port Charles, and the destruction it brings will be catastrophic. Michael Corinthos is facing the ultimate test of his life, and the impossible choices before him will define the future of his entire family. Will Michael surrender his empire to the ultimate villain to protect Willow, or will he risk total destruction to take Nelle down once and for all? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for the explosive fallout.